Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. The last week has certainly been very eventful, to say the least. We've seen, from the visit of Mohammed bin Salman, His Highness Mohammed bin Salman, to the Pak-India relationship following the attack on the Indian soldiers, and moving on to the arrest by NAB of the Sindh Speaker Assembly. Let's talk about what these events will mean in the upcoming future. Let's talk about Khurshid Shah's Saab's statement when he says that there will be retaliation in every quarter. Let's talk about all of that. Let's see what our guests feel about this. I have with me Barrister Safiullah Ghori Saab, who is a legal expert. Thank you for joining us today. Mohammad Ibrahim Khan, who's M&A with the PTI. Thank you for joining us. And Naseem Siddiqui Saab, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for joining us today. Barrister Saab, like I said, this arrest by NAB is significant because, of course, of the position of the Speaker Sindh Assembly, and also because of a lot of stuff that has been going around by the political parties themselves, by the opposition. We've seen the relationship between the opposition and the government. We've seen where we are with regard to the assembly and the function of the assembly, the way the events have been coming in. But the visit of Mohammed bin Salman, of course, is something that everyone is talking about. Everyone is proud of the way that it was handled, the way it happened. And now this, do you think this kind of discord, the effects of it on our political scene, how do you see it?
Thank you, Maruk. So I'll just start off by stating what Khurshid Shah said on the National Assembly floor.
Right.
And the exact question he asked was, what message are you trying to give to the people of Sindh by arresting the Speaker Sindh?
Right.
And his exact words were that the Speaker Sindh, the Sindh Assembly, is that very assembly where the Pakistan resolution was first moved. And so for that reason alone, the Speaker Sindh should not have been arrested. And it baffles my mind to see the weird stance that the opposition has taken. I simply cannot fathom why they believe that if there is one Prime Minister, for instance, the seat of Prime Minister which was once occupied by Quaid-e-Azam, we cannot arrest a present day Prime Minister who is indulging in corruption. And so just because there was in the past some speaker who passed the Pakistan resolution,
right,
does not automatically sanctify the seat to a degree that that seat can never be touched. Now, the message that I receive, the message that I feel as a Pakistani, as a normal citizen of Pakistan, as a person who has lived in Sindh, who is connected to the people of Sindh, the only message that I am getting here, as opposed to what Khurshid Shah Saab said, that what message are you trying to give to the people of Sindh, the message I receive is that this is a message of impartiality. This is a message of equal treatment. The fact remains that people throughout Sindh are being arrested on a daily basis.
But do you think
they are not being meted out special treatment? Why should the Speaker Sindh be meted out special treatment?
Do you think it is about equal treatment? Do you think it's about party politics, or like the opposition is alleging?
That's a very important
I'll come back to you. Let me go on to Mohammad Ibrahim Khan Saab. Khan Saab, in your opinion, do you think that there are a lot of allegations that the opposition is now leveling against your party? They're talking about against the government. They're saying that it's only siding towards the opposition. They're saying that it is only targeting them. How far do you agree with that?
I think they're biting their own nails. Reason why, they had 10 years, 5 years with the PPP and another next 5 years with the PMLN.
Right.
Okay, to a certain extent, I would say PPP could not make any improvements in the legislative work with regards to NAB.
Right.
But N-League could have easily done that with 2/3 majority. And actually, they did not do this. NAB is an independent institution. They are working, they're going according to the law.
You don't think
it
that
does
they're
not make
actually
any difference.
angling towards any side at this moment?
If they were angling, they just arrested one of our senior minister, which is almost equivalent to the Chief Minister of Punjab. Nobody made a hue and cry about that.
Right.
What makes them the sacred cow that if one of their person has been arrested?
But certainly it is unprecedented in the sense that no speaker of the assembly has ever been arrested before.
Okay, let me put it this way. Yes, it is unprecedented because before that it was all give and take and a consensus between the two governments. Okay, when your turn comes, you make money. When our turn comes, we will make the money. And it was all, well thought and well orchestrated
So,
plan
right.
that they worked on, and nobody was arresting nobody.
Right.
And
in
on
this-
top of that, you would see that who chose the chairman of the NAB? They did. We have nothing to do with that. And just blame game. And secondly, Khurshid Shah Sahab being such an old parliamentarian and talking like this is like, I mean, you know, if
But
you
when
were
speaking of old parliamentarians, we've also seen what Asif Ali Zardari Sahab had to say. He was openly, you know, one would threatening. One can use the word if it's not, you know. Do you think that that will have an impact on your
I would
party
only
or-
say this. You see, when a candle comes to its final stage, it blubbers a little too, flashes a little too much, and then it finishes off.
Right. Let me go on
This
to
is
Naseem
exactly
Sahab.
what's going to happen, because I don't foresee people of Sindh following them or coming on the roads and there, because
But
they have formed a
are-
government.
But to be, you know,
yeah.
as far as the PMLN is concerned, if we compare the PMLN to the PPP, as far as the party is concerned, certainly, you know, as far as resistance is concerned, PPP does have a kind of history that the PMLN does not have. But
That was with the Bhuttos.
right.
Bhuttos are not there anymore. Now there are Zardaris.
So you see,
And the
you
common
think
people
there
of
is no,
Sindh, I have visited interior Sindh so many times.
right.
You see the economic conditions of the people of Sindh. I mean, it's very unfortunate.
Yet it is still the reigning political party in the province.
It's not the reigning, it's basically
It
the
is the party.
mafia. It's the mafia which is working and not letting anybody, you know, the way they handle elections there, it's altogether a different ball game. And
Right.
I'm
Let
sorry.
me come back to you. I'm going to go
Sure.
to Naseem Saab. Naseem Saab, as a journalist, the way things are going, do you think it's about accountability? Like Naseem Saab is saying, it is about the fact that accountability has never been, you know, at the rate that it is now happening, which is what the government is saying, and the way that it is happening without catering to who and where and what the position is. Do you think it's about that, or do you think a certain party politics is being played under the guise of accountability? How do you see it?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for inviting in your program. First of all, I would like to say a few words about the
Right.
MBS visit. Saudi Crown Prince
Right.
visited Pakistan. That was a great moment when
Right.
Prime Minister Imran Khan and Army Chief received him, and that was a great pride when MBS said that he is an ambassador of Pakistan in Saudi Arabia, and he said that he was waiting for the right leadership to invest in Pakistan. That was a pride moment for Pakistan. Where on the second, the NAB is concerned, no, NAB is a free office at the moment. The chairman is working freely. The chairman was selected by the previous governments like Nawaz Sharif and Zardari's People's Party and PMLN. So they should not complain anything about the chairman or the act of the NAB.
But there are certain lacunas, there are certain loopholes within the
They-
laws
they-
governing.
Then they can
the
go to
NAB.
the court. Court is giving them freedom at the moment. When
Right.
NAB has taken the reference to the at sub court, they given a punishment to Nawaz Sharif, and they got a relief from Islamabad High Court. So if there are some lacunas, they can get
It goes to their
Right,
advantage.
and like Ibrahim Saab was earlier saying that it is, you know, there was PPP government. PTI is certainly the first time that they've come in. So if they wanted to reform them, they could have done
They
that,
should have
which
done
didn't
it.
happen.
They
earlier.
should have done it because they have
Right.
been in the government for the last 20 years, if not then at least 10 years continuously. So
But
they
even
should
if
have
for a
bring.
moment, you know, we leave that aside, there are, even then, we have to acknowledge that there are certain, and I will come back to you, G. Barrister Saab, there are certain lacunas, there are certain loopholes. We have to admit to that. Whether the last governments, you know, we can lay the blame at their door. They could have, you know, changed things. They could have amended the laws. They didn't do so. But that doesn't mean that the lacunas are not there. Do you think that those lacunas do allow NAB to be used? And is it being used like that?
Absolutely. I have no qualms in admitting that NAB law is poorly drafted. It was drafted with ill intentions. It was drafted during the times of the former dictator President Musharraf,
Right.
and it was drafted only to victimize a particular political party The sole intent, in fact, if you still read the NAB law, you see that there are countless problems. NAB law is discriminatory in its application. It's not applicable, for instance, on the armed forces. NAB law goes on, its remand period is 90 days, which is almost unheard of in any law in the world.
Right.
And so, of course, it's poor law. That is something that goes without any debate. But like Shafqat Mahmood said, like Naseem Saab has just stated, that they had ample chances to rectify the law. The PTI government, I just read the news a little while ago, it's still in the stage of forming committees. Basic work, and PTI does not bear the complete burden of changing the law immediately. The real burden of changing the law was in the last 10 years of the people who supposedly had an alliance
if they
against.
continue to alienate the opposition the way that things are
I'm
going.
sorry, I can't agree with that, because it's NAB that is arresting them. It's not PTI. NAB is an independent authority, and NAB has its own jurisdiction.
But what about other, let's talk about, the standard of proof as far as NAB is concerned.
Absolutely.
As a lawyer, do you think that NAB is adhering to the kind of standard of proof that it should when arresting? Do you think they're only doing that?
That's a great question, Maruf. Now,
The
if we
investigation
were to just look at Agha Siraj Durrani's case for a
Right,
second,
right.
so we have, of course, the fact that the standard of proof, as you have mentioned, and you yourself are a lawyer, you know that because NAB is special law, it reverses the standard of proof.
Right.
And so instead of innocent until proven guilty, in NAB law, it becomes guilty until proven innocent, and it's upon the person themselves to prove themselves innocent.
Right.
But here's a very important distinction that is going on. NAB operates on certain levels. The very first level of NAB law is an inquiry stage.
Right.
During an inquiry stage, people, when NAB can and does have the power to arrest, it has arrested in the past, but Agha Siraj Durrani was not arrested during an inquiry. It is only after an inquiry that when they move on to an investigation stage, which is usually when all arrests happen, is when Agha Siraj Durrani was arrested. Now, there are a lot of parliamentarians, even right now, against whom inquiries are open.
Right.
But those inquiries have not converted into full-fledged investigations as yet. And that is why they haven't been arrested. So if there is any problem, if they feel that they have in fact been harmed in any manner, they have the recourse to go to the courts. They can always go and state that NAB law in any manner has been violated, that NAB law in fact is bad law. That is something that Nawaz Sharif, the plea that has been previously mentioned, that is the exact plea that Nawaz Sharif took in Islamabad High Court
let's
and
talk
got
about the
relief.
former Prime Minister. In his case, and let's talk about Shehbaz Sharif. He was the former Chief Minister. When a bail is granted, for example, NAB arrests these people in key positions, and then a bail is granted. It shows it throws a very unfavorable light on the investigation of NAB itself. Does it not?
No, I don't. So that's one thing.
That's what I'm, the
Yes, that's a great
homework
question.
that
As
NAB needs to do to then, arrest people in these positions, accountability should.
I would answer both of them.
Let me just, go on. As far as accountability is concerned, certainly it shouldn't matter who is who when accountability, the process of accountability is leveled against anyone. It should be, it should be autonomous. It should be, leveled against anybody, regardless of the position that they are in. But when they are arresting people in power or in any of these positions, there should be a certain level of homework that should be expected from NAB. And if that does not happen, it not only shows throws an unfavorable light on NAB itself, but also, brings into question a lot of things of the government, which it should or should not. That's a different debate, but that is what happens, does it not?
Right. So as far as the law is concerned, the law does not view bail petition being accepted as something that in itself shows weakness in an investigation, because bail is by its very nature a right in many cases.
Right.
The very purpose of an investigation is for a person, and the reason why they're that they're arrested is to conduct investigation. When
Right.
you go for a bail, the very purpose of the very argument, for instance, a lawyer would take during a bail is that by keeping this person within the jail,
Right.
they will not be able to conduct any further investigation more than what they already have required.
Right.
And so that's why sureties are given. That's why when bails are granted, people not only submit physical and monetary sureties, but they also submit different sorts of sureties of staying within a country,
Right.
appearing before the process of law, continuing with it. And so whenever a bail petition is accepted, it has absolutely no overbearing on the final case, whatever it may be.
But politically speaking,
But
let's
yes.
leave the legality aside for one second.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree with the contention that, and not just even politically, even legally, it just so happens that because judges sometimes author very lengthy bail petitions. I've seen bail judgments that exceed 100 pages.
And the comments that
Absolutely.
come in is like, you know, the investigation wasn't, you know, perhaps as
Absolutely,
sound
and
as
so
it should be.
sometimes in obiter dicta, judges do talk about poor
Let
investigation.
me go on to Ibrahim Saab. Ibrahim Saab, how do you see this? I mean, it does affect the, you know, the whole process of accountability then when these kind of
Absolutely, I agree with you, but there is, besides going to the court and getting relief from the courts, there is another way out there too,
right.
to make improvements in the NAB laws, and that is what we can do. So we have open doors, and
Do
we
you think that
openly welcome
the opposition is with you as far as doing that?
if they want to see, they want to get justice and on a permanent basis. This is the way to go about it.
But why
Like
hasn't it
you-
happened till now? I mean,
Make the, I mean, this their, it was their responsibility, and I think they did not fulfill that.
has the government fielded that kind of legislation? Is the government?
We are open to it. We have already told them, like, okay, most welcome. If you want to make any changes, let's do the deliberations, and if there is always room for improvement in the laws, and we are ready to accept if they are based on any genuine reasons, and you know, the purpose is to
As
take out all
as
the
a member of the
lacunas.
assembly, do you think that you're making headway with legislation with these kind of
We
arrests
are.
happening?
In fact,
these kind
we
of
just had a meeting, in fact, our parliamentary meeting yesterday.
Right.
And we are introducing a lot of laws, inshallah, within next week. You will see that. And things are moving in the right direction. But
Right.
now,
But if the
this
opposition does
distinction,
not play ball, things will get difficult, like it did with the committees being delayed, with the chairmanship, all of that.
we have, I mean, we have it all in our mind, but we are trying to play as positive as possible. We are not against any particular party or any particular person,
Right.
but we definitely are against those who have siphoned money from Pakistan.
Right.
And they should be taken to task, whether they're from People's Party, and League, or PTI, for that
Yeah.
matter. If
So it doesn't matter which party.
it doesn't matter which party. I mean, this is the only way forward for Pakistan.
Do you think that
Because-
there are individuals on, you know, on who NAB has acted against on the basis of inquiry only and not investigation, leaving Saraj Durrani's case aside?
Lot of cases. I mean, in one case, I can even claim being from the treasury benches, being from the government side. I mean, they went on to granting bail to Shahbaz Sharif. What was that? I mean, all those people, I think at least half of them were appointed into NAB from within these two parties.
But the
So
court
my
gave the bail.
I
not-
know why you know why is court granting bails? Court has nothing to do. Court has to look at the work they have done. I think it starts from the investigation. If the investigation is not properly done, then the second step is prosecution.
you're-
If the prosecution is not
But if the
properly done,
government, the
they're not
opposition-
hiring proper professional, you know.
But my question is, if you as a member, you know, of the government, you and the opposition are on one page as far as, you know, reforming the NAB is concerned, as far as amending the NAB ordinance, for example, you know, the laws governing it, why not do it? Why the delay? It can't only be from the opposition side, to be fair.
No, it can't be from the opposition side. We are on it, and we have always asked them, and in national TV, I am again stating that. This is our
Right.
party stated policy that we are open to any kind of good suggestions and improvement in the law.
But
This
you
is
are the
what we are here
government now.
for.
You would perhaps
No, we are the
have
government,
to take
but
the
we do not-
proactive step rather than wait for the
I'm
opposition.
sorry, we are not a two-third majority.
Right.
In spite of that, we are trying whatever we can do within the premises of law to
Right.
make improvements and to kind of get rid of those lacunas within the NAB laws. And, you know, all we have is good intentions, and want to wish everybody well. If they're innocent, then
A proverb is just coming in my mind that I don't want to talk about as far as good intentions are concerned. But, gee, Naseem Saab, as a journalist, how do you critically evaluate the situation, considering the fact that the delay as far as reforming NAB is concerned? Because, you know, every few weeks there's a lot of hue and cry about NAB. Every week there is a talk about, you know, the government motivating it, influencing it. Why the delay? It can't, like I said, you know, do we throw, you know, the discredit of it at the opposition's door, or is there more to it?
I usually go to Parliament to cover the
Right.
whatever is happening over there. So opposition never look like that they are serious in bringing the laws. They are just blackmailing the government at the moment.
Right.
That they must give a relief to the people, those who have been going to NAB at the moment, like Shehbaz Sharif. They want a relief for Nawaz Sharif, for Maryam Nawaz Sharif. They are not serious. If they can bring some suggestions to the Parliament,
Right.
definitely PTI government is a new government. They haven't ruled before in the Parliament, so they are ready to make the laws. But People's Party and PMLN should cooperate with them. But at the moment, they are just blackmailing them to bring Saad Rafiq to the assembly, or bring Shehbaz Sharif to the assembly, or make Shehbaz Sharif chairman PAC. They are just doing like that. They have been doing some press conferences outside the Parliament, but they are not giving any suggestions that what laws should be made or what suggestions should come to change NAB laws. NAB is working very hard at the moment, and they are just nothing is above the law.
Right.
But NAB is facing many problems at the moment as well, because those who have been convicted at the moment, they have been ruling for the last 10-20 years.
Right.
They are very influential people. They influence to the bureaucracy, they influence on the evidences. That's why NAB is trying to arrest those influential people before they can go to the court. But court is giving them relief as well, because there are, as you said before, exactly, that there are some lacunas, there are some loopholes in NAB laws at the moment. So that should be amended at the moment, and opposition
But
should
why is the
cooperate.
government, my question is, why is the government waiting for the opposition? I'm going to go to Barrister Safiullah with this. Safiullah, is it, you know, why wait for the opposition to bring it? You know, why doesn't the government take a
I
proactive
absolutely
step?
agree with you, Maruk, and I feel like this is something that you've correctly pointed out, that as the government, it is their job to make laws. It is not the opposition's job to make laws. They were voted into power so that they could make laws. They
Right.
cannot put the blame on the opposition and state that they do not have the majority. Have they proposed any laws? Have they given the opposition any chance to state that they do not agree with those laws? They have done nothing. Instead, they are just shifting the blame. And in any case, the opposition cannot make laws unless and until it's a private member's day, which rarely comes. Most of the time, this floor is of that of the government. So they are the ones who carry the responsibility and the onus of the laws. But I'll add something here, and this is something that you've been talking about for a while now.
Right.
You mentioned that NAB is perhaps hampering the political process. I do not agree that NAB itself, because it's an independent authority, that NAB is responsible for it. But if you look at the general inclination of the government, we see that the government has been empowering all other executive officials to take increasingly coercive actions against the people. I'll give you an example of, for instance, the customs intelligence, the income tax intelligence, and the sales tax intelligence. These departments have been empowered now via a notification from the Ministry of Finance
Right.
to not only conduct arrests like never before, to compound, to adjudicate upon matters without it being sent to a judge, and to barge into houses without warrants. This has happened for the first time in Pakistan. And with these powers, these happened last week. With these powers, these departments are going to be increasingly powerful. There have already been a lot of cases in which they have literally just gone into people's houses, thrown stuff out, looked for papers, and obviously we'll see as time goes on a huge increase in litigation and cases on taxation matters. So, you know, this is something that could, of course, lead to a lot of victimization. We see only one side of the story, which is NAB, but I feel that there is another
There's more.
spectrum altogether.
Right. Gee, Ibrahim Khan Sahab, why? Does the government feel the need to empower these executive, you know, institutions to diversify and
Okay.
take on the roles of
Our
the
whole idea is for the past 70 years,
right,
the institutions were not strengthened. We are trying to strengthen the institutions. Once the institutions are strong, that means the country is strong. In the last decade or so, the institutions were politicized. As a consequence, there was a demoralization
Right.
on the official level, and as a result, there was, their working capacity and their abilities, and they were influenced from all levels and from all directions, and the country came to stop basically functioning of the institutions, government
giving
institutions.
but empowering these institutions in this way, giving them, you know, adjudicative powers.
In extraordinary circumstances, one has to take extraordinary steps. Nobody is realizing the fact, like from 1947 till 2007, we were, Pakistan was under debt for 6 trillion rupees. Now we are under debt for 30 trillion rupees. In a span of 10 years' time, they have taken 24 trillion rupees loan, borrowed loan, and economically, the economic viability of the country is at stake at the moment. So we have to work very hard.
But
and
is it not making the same mistake again when giving, you know, giving institutions these powers, which is what happened with NAB to start with? I mean, the intentions may be, you know, your intentions may be to you know, to clamp down on you know, corruption and bring back the looted money, but it will lead to the same thing again as far as the institutions are concerned when there
I
is no.
agree with you. You see, this is where the opposition, if we have done something, they think it is way beyond the, the limits of the law. They should indicate those. They should point out those lacunas and sit together and try to fix it in the assembly. But what they do is, when they come, the only purpose is to make a hue and cry, and try to establish a point that their claim.
What about reforms? I mean, a huge part of the agenda of this government, along with accountability, was reform. And, you
Yes.
know, reform, of course, it's early days yet, but reform of, you know, not only judicial reform,
Sure.
reform of, you know, institutions like NAB,
Sure.
police reform. So are we moving towards that? Are we making headway?
We
Or are we
are.
going to make the same mistakes again
No,
with
no.
institutions?
Within the next week, you will see a barrage of these laws coming down in the assembly, would be put down, that we discussed, and those will be, you will be seeing now that part of our responsibility also, that on every TV program I have been hearing that, what have you done with the legislative work?
Right,
And
right.
you will see from next week onwards, a lot of work is being done, and our people with the knowledge of the law, and you see, we can give, as a legislator, we can give a general concept, but putting it into a legal language, you need experts.
Right.
And it's a time-taking process. We are on it, and we are working on it from all directions with the
Right.
whole purpose is to bring, bring ease to the livelihood or the life of the people of Pakistan.
Right. Let me go to Naseem.
Yeah.
Naseem, sir, do you think another hurdle for the government will be getting the opposition to play ball, especially in the kind of circumstances that we have now, with the arrest of the Sindh speaker, with the kind of statements inflammatory that are coming in from, you know, the leadership of the People's Party? Do you think the government will be able to get the kind of numbers? Of course, you know, like Ibrahim Saab is saying, they are in a tight spot as far as the numbers in the National Assembly are concerned. So, you know, they're facing, it's a problem for them. Do you think they'll be able to deal with
Yes,
that?
there is a tight number in the parliament at the
Right.
moment, and government is facing few problems in the parliament.
Right.
That's why the prime minister and most of the ministers, they are not coming to the parliament, because I can see that nothing has been done
Right.
in parliament for previous months, whereas you can see that Prime Minister Imran Khan is holding back-to-back meetings in Prime Minister House. He is working very hard. He is working like 15 to 16 hours per day. I haven't seen any prime minister working like that. The cabinet meetings, you can see in the past, they come like after 6 months or once in a year.
Right.
Now he is going to hold these cabinet meetings once in a week. He is getting that National Security Council meeting today as well. So the government is trying very hard to bring these legislations and bring some good things for the people of Pakistan.
Right.
So number definitely it matters in Punjab as well. There is a very close tight for the chief minister, and whereas concerned
For
like
the National Assembly
for
also,
the National
numbers
Assembly,
are very close.
yeah, the opposition is definitely giving a tough time to the government at the moment, but government is definitely holding good meetings. They have got very good relations with the foreign countries at the moment. Our foreign policy is going very good. So if they bring some investment in Pakistan and they can bring economy to a height, then they can achieve many things at the moment.
But
and
not
then
single-handedly. They do need the opposition's cooperation. I mean, that is a reality the government will have to accept.
yeah, but at the moment they are handling single-handedly all these things. But if they can get some support from opposition, and opposition stop hue and crying about these arrests, because those who have done corruption, they should be convicted, and the law is there.
Do you think we can expect that kind of selflessness, in all honesty, from the opposition?
Yeah, at the moment we should, because if they love Pakistan, they want to do something for the people of Pakistan, they should stand by these, and
Right, fair
this
enough.
corruption should be end from Pakistan at the moment.
Right. Let me go on to Barrister Safiullah Sabzawala. I could hear you. I could see you nodding. What's your take on this? Do you think that the kind of numbers there are? We've talked about it before. The government is in a tight spot with National Assembly and the Punjab Assembly. The Sindh, of course, you've seen the situation there.
I think
But-
you have yourself answered the question. So you mentioned the provincial assemblies. Why did you not mention KPK assembly? They have a clear majority there.
Right.
There is nothing stopping them from passing laws in KPK. They're not doing anything. So I think that in itself is an indication that the government is not interested in passing laws. If it was, they would at least be passing those same laws that could then be passed on a national level. On a miniature level, they could pass them in KPK. But they're not doing that. And so what they're relying on entirely is a hue and cry of how they have inherited this tremendous debt from the previous government, which is absolutely correct. But if they were afraid that they could not have handled that debt, then they should not have perhaps entered into those elections.
Right.
They consistently promised that they know how to handle that huge debt. They consistently promised us that they have the solution to our economic problems. They did not tell us that they do not know what's going to happen. They did not tell us that suddenly the issue of foreign reserves or circular debt is going to be a problem. If, for instance, the Pakistani citizens had known that PTI is unable to handle it, maybe they would have responded in a different manner. So the very fact that the government now is not implementing what it has stated in KPK, and the very fact that the government is consistently relying on foreign powers, countries like Saudi Arabia, even if I was to just, for instance, talk about the wonderful visit of MBS to Pakistan, the fact remains that we have inked MOUs worth 20 billion. Twice that number has already been done in India, 40 billion. But let's just concentrate on Pakistan and its significantly smaller regional numbers.
Right.
The fact remains that we have a refinery that is to be built in Gwadar, which is going to be built in another 15 years' time. The government is not going to see that time. It's not going to be built. None of the people are going to benefit from it for the next 15 years. Any other MOUs and deals that we have are not going to have any money rolling into Pakistan, only a few $1 million perhaps, but the billions of dollars that have been promised are going to be rolling into Pakistan over a period of 20 to 25 years. And the same is the case with China. The fact remains that,
Right, let me go to Ibrahim Sahib. I'll come back
Sure.
to you. Ibrahim Sahib, I could see that you disagree, of course, with what.
I totally disagree with
Right.
him from a point of view
Sure.
that it's been hardly 6 months.
Right.
And you are expecting that we have a magic wand that will just swing it around and the
Right.
things will turn better. No, it takes time. We have all the capabilities. We have the capable people who are handling things. I mean, you have seen this foreign investment coming in now.
Right.
Why didn't they come in before?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Right.
And with that, I mean, with a lot of economic reforms we are going to bring in and make environment conducive for the business people. And this is how, I mean, money makes the mayor go. We all know that, and we have all the capability to do it.
But I think what
Because
Barrister
we have
Safiullah is saying
faced,
that this is
uh,
a very
let me-
long term. If you
I
look
mean-
at the kind of the kind of money, the kind of funds that we are expecting there over a long period of time, 20, 25 years. So immediately
No,
we
we
will
are not
be-
just only, you see, we are not only working on those or depending on those funds.
Right.
We are, as I said, we are making investment friendly and business friendly environment, make it conducive for the for people within Pakistan.
Right.
who were, you know, shifting their industries to Bangladesh or Malaysia or any other country. All those people now, they once they're seeing the money sign, that they have an opportunity with the stability of the government and the stable policies of the government, financial policies,
Right.
they are coming back. And you cannot start judging people within 6 months. They're able to do this and they're not able to do that. Because once I was questioned by ex Chief Minister of KPK, Shah Sahab, he was very proudly stating that, look at that, our ex Chief Minister of Punjab as compared to their Chief Minister of Punjab. And our Chief Minister of Punjab did this and this and this, and their Chief Minister of Punjab. I says, look, we definitely agree on one thing, that we are oceans apart on our strategies, the way we want to run this country.
Right.
Your Chief Minister, during his tenure, people were killed. When we didn't have a penny in the kitty, 200 billion rupees were spent on Orange Line. We didn't have anything.
Right. We didn't have any funds, you're
of
saying,
funds.
to utilize.
Okay, and Multan Metro was built, which was a total failure.
But you had a
And-
significant majority in KPK, and I think what Barrister Saab was saying is, why haven't we seen the kind of legislation, perhaps in the province? There's, you know, after the 18th Amendment, there's a lot that the provinces themselves can do. also.
Give us some time. I mean, 6 months' time. I mean, legislation just does not happen overnight.
Even when you have 2/3 majority?
Yes.
Right.
There is a lot of legislative work that every single word has a different meaning. So there are technicalities and
Right.
things, and it's time consuming. And he's a
You're
student
saying
of
you
law,
simply
and
haven't
he
gotten down
knows
to it with
much
all the
better.
other issues. Let me go to
Sure.
Naseem Saab. Naseem Saab, before I go to Safiullah Saab, in your opinion, do you think it's too early to judge? Do you think the government needs this kind of time, like, you know, Ibrahim Saab is saying that it needs that time to deal with all the technicalities that are involved, even in a province like KPK, where they do have a 2/3 majority, and that makes things significantly easier?
Yeah, definitely this government doesn't have a magic stick to do all the things quickly.
Right.
They need much more time, but their performance in 6 months, what I feel is
Right.
better than others, because main thing is that there is no financial embezzlement charges on this government at the moment. 6 months have been passed. So that's a very good thing. FATF is looking.
But did that happen with the previous governments? I mean, as far as 6 months were concerned? I
No,
mean, if we compare.
When last government of PMLN came into power in 2013, immediately they have shifted billions of dollars into the energy crisis, and they started coming up financial embezzlement charges on them. So there is nothing at the moment on this government. In KPK, they have performed in 5 years. That's why it was the first time in the history of Pakistan that the people of KPK elected the same government
re-elected
second
them,
time.
yes.
So they are performing, there the people of KPK are happy with them. The main thing in Pakistan is at the moment that we have to get rid of these corruption charges. All of the countries, foreign countries, they were looking at
But at the
Pakistan.
same time, there is this whole issue of reform, there is this whole issue of development, there is this whole issue of, you know, there being no money in the kitty. So, you know, if we talk about corruption, of course, we can deal with that, but we also need to deal with all these other
Money
issues.
is coming because, you know, the investors from foreign countries, they have started coming up. The big news was that British Airways has resumed their flights from June. They will be resuming their flights. So the foreign investors, they are getting confidence in the present government.
But it will take time, you're
It
saying.
will take time, definitely.
Ji, Safiullah, do you agree? Do you think that the government...
With all due respect, I'll have to disagree with the variety of statements that have just been made. Foreign investment has actually gone down. This is reported by the State Bank of Pakistan, that we have lesser foreign investment coming in now. Moody's has downgraded our credit rating. That has never happened before. And apart from that, all of the deals, for instance, the recent 20 billion deal
Right.
was actually, as a matter of fact, charted out in the previous Nawaz Sharif government. And in fact, if we were to, for instance, talk about how much money has come in, the previous government brought in $50 billion, which is more than twice as much as has happened now.
But
that's
it's been 6 months.
Yes, but then absolutely. So this is what I'll say, and so I'll completely agree that it's only been 6 months. But there's this huge problem here. The problem here is that what we thought, what we expected, I, for instance, as a voter, as a citizen of Pakistan, thought that in developed civilized countries, whenever governments come in, they already have their bills ready. They already have everything prepared. They have shadow cabinets. They have people who have worked on these things.
Right.
They don't come in and say, oh, we have to learn, we have to now get experts to draft things for
Right.
us. They have these things beforehand, and that is why they're voted into power. And that is exactly the kind of promises that PTI made. They told us that they had these things. They did not tell us that, oh, we'll go in and we don't have a magic wand, we'll take a little time, we'll try and learn. They did not say these things before elections. Now they're saying it. Fair enough.
But that
fair
was,
enough.
a lot of
it's
that is
understandable.
electioneering talk.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
that
understandable.
we have to give
Understandable.
them
Political,
that.
political
Understandable.
statements are
Sorry.
always different.
So absolutely. So this is, I'll agree with this, and I don't disagree with this statement that it turns out that PTI, like other parties, has also made election sloganeering, and so it's done these things.
Right.
Perhaps we thought that it would not. Perhaps we thought before elections that PTI would be a different party, but it turns out that it's doing the same things that previous parties have done. And so there's no harm in that. I think if their biggest achievement is the fact that in just 6 months none of them have been caught for major corruption charges,
Right.
great. I congratulate PTI for the great job it's done.
Right. G.
that's-
Mohammed.
that is one thing that Modi's reports are. These are reflections of the old performance.
Right.
It's not a reflection of these 6 months period. I just wanted to clear this, because for the last 1 decade, I truly call it a black decade
Draconian.
of draconian law and the way this economy was brought down. I mean, I personally feel that it was an internationally planned and orchestrated. You read the book on the Confessions of the Economic Hitman.
Right.
Pakistan was hit with that theory.
Right.
And these two characters, these two families, the Nawaz and the Zardaris, were on the forefront of it. Pakistan was brought under debt for this much amount of money, so that we basically economically collapse, and then Pakistan should be, God forbid, turn into pieces and whatever. That did not work. Pakistan was created in the name of La ilaha illallah, and Allah has created resources for us. You see Trump's statement before Imran Khan going to Saudi Arabia a week before that I can bring down the kingdom within 2 weeks. I think it was also a blessing in disguise. And now Malaysians are coming in, the UAE
You think that
people are
within
coming
due
in.
time there will be
But
investment and things will change?
There will be,
certainly.
because you see, they need time to realize that,
Right.
okay,
To bring the
confidence
country to the-
building, I mean, once we strengthen our institutions, that means then the foreign powers or the foreign investors will have more vested
Right. Before I
interest in-
close, G. Naseem Saab, your last comments.
I will just suggest opposition to cooperate with the government at the moment, because they are sitting in the parliament with the vote of the people.
But the government will need to do something at their end also to get the opposition to cooperate, because certainly the way things are, they will raise, they will raise hell.
I think
because
the government is trying
to excuse the word.
government is trying their best by austerity drive as well. They have cut down their expenses as well. So if opposition cooperates with government in the parliament and they bring new laws, they strengthen the institutions, especially like PIA was going so much down at the moment. So
Right.
new general has been put into that one, the CEO, and they must be getting good with the institutions, and they bring relief to the people of the Pakistan. Like sui gas bills are on the hype, the electricity bills. So at the moment, people of Pakistan, they need a relief, because they have sent all these MNAs to the parliament to work
Right,
for them,
right. Very
not
true,
to.
very true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Barrister Safiullah Ghori Saab, thank you for being with us. Mohammad Ibrahim Khan Saab, thank you for joining us today. Naseem Siddiqui Saab, thank you for your time. As far as strengthening of institutions is concerned, certainly strengthening of institutions, rebuilding the capacity, improving the investor confidence in Pakistan, rebuilding its institutions, reforming them, is certainly not only the agenda of the present government, of the PTI as a party. It should be the agenda for all political parties who come and are voted in by the people. Let's hope that the political parties can agree on that, keeping their differences aside, keeping their issues on accountability aside, and let's hope that they can work together towards the improvement of Pakistan. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.